It has been a while since I've made a full-length video talking about a particular topic, especially one where I'm talking about the 100 girlfriends who really love your manga series, and that's because I've been incredibly busy with other matters. Hence why I was only able to make some YouTube shorts here and there, and also have some time to do some color art and post them on my Twitter at Rendoski. Please do check it out if you're interested. And yeah, I'm glad to be back and to be able to share with you some topics from this incredible manga series. And so tell me, Rinda, what chapter do you think could best showcase or describe how much of a good character Rentarou is, if we're talking about or looking at it at this perspective of a harem rom-com protagonist or even as a boyfriend character in general? Now, to that, I'd say look no further than chapter 73 of this manga. Now, this is solely my own opinion, and I'd even argue that there are a whole lot of other chapters and arcs in this series that really show how great Rentarou is. Take the Hakari Rescue arc, for instance, the Sundari Lost arc, and hell, even the very first chapter of this manga itself really already demonstrates how, what type of character, what type of person Rentarou is. And essentially every chapter in this manga is already a showcase of how good Rentarou is. But there's something, I don't know, just something about chapter 73 in particular that really strikes me a sort of realization, right? And this is also something that I got from reading a post from the Hyakuno subreddit, and I sort of connected the dots here and there. And I'll sort of share and paraphrase that idea with you later on. But before all that, I want to share with you what chapter 73 is all about. No, now the Rentarou family, of which at that moment is up until Momiji, there's 15 of them. They went on a shopping date to the mall, and then this reporter lady shows up interviewing the girls about their quote-unquote first love story for a TV program. And now, as all of the girls, knowing that they all have the same boyfriend who is Rentarou, a lot of funny and really romantically sweet moments came about from this. And what essentially means, or what essentially happened during the interview was that the girls shared their experiences of dating Rentarou, of dating this absolute Chad. And long story short, the reporter was incredibly overwhelmed by the intensity and the insanity of it. And if you've read the manga, if you've at least familiar yourself with Rentarou and the many things and capabilities that he has, well, it's no surprise that everyone would be shocked by the insanity of it. And so at the end, it was finally time for Rentarou to get interviewed, and the lady unintentionally said something rude, and Rentarou just snapped, making him reach the trending page as the quote-unquote monster boyfriend. It was funny. Now, getting into the meat of the story, which are the experiences that the girls shared individually to the reporter about their dating life with Rentarou. Now, those experiences alone, it already shows exactly what makes Rentarou the perfect boyfriend, right? For instance, when Meme's bra clasp got snapped, Rentarou single-handedly had to hold it together with his bare hand, and because even safety pins won't do it. That alone just proves how strong he is. When Rentarou was crossing the bridge together with Nano, he noticed that she was trembling, and so he carried her on his back and swam to the other side of the island, on the other side of the bridge, showing just how athletic and full of stamina he is. When Hakari wanted to seduce him, well, he banged his head into the wall until he passed out, showing just how chivalrous he is and how much he really values his girlfriends. When Karane gave him full compound body fractures, he said, and I quote or summarize quote, I don't I don't mind it, and that already shows how kind and how far his regeneration abilities have gone. And the list goes on through most of the girlfriends. And so this is where things really kick in, right? Now, this is an idea, as I've said, it's an idea that I've got from reading a post from the Hyakuno subreddit. And to give the essence of it, right, it's something along the lines of Rentarou is the perfect boyfriend because because not only from the amazing and life-changing deeds that he's done together with the heroines, but the little everyday things in order to keep his girlfriend safe and happy are what really counts and what really gives him such depth to his character as a boyfriend, right? Now, this chapter really shows that Rentarou is able to make surprisingly make time and spend it with each of the girlfriends, with 15 of them as of that in that moment, right? And by looking at the sorts of experiences they had, these flashbacks from their story, they still all look really happy. And I noticed this a lot when watching harem series, and trust me, I've seen a whole lot of them. And it's on part of how the protagonist would act towards the quote-unquote new girl to the story, or when there is a new hero that would appear in the plot. Now imagine this. This is this sort of the formulaic, or the general formula, I suppose, that you would observe when you watch harem animes. Now, harem MC, he encounters the first heroine, right? And after a couple of events, the heroine eventually falls in love with the protagonist. Now, how would the MC, right? How would the MC then act towards the heroine is the question, right? Well, for one, he could act all normal with her, and just continue being all buddy buddy, so to speak, having this one-sided feeling, right, where the heroine would is madly in love with the protagonist, and the protagonist is just thanks. Sorry, it just makes it look really bad, but please bear with me for a moment, right? Now, I don't say I'm not wrong, right? Because a lot of the times I really do get that sort of impression, right? So he could act all normal, or he could do the Chad move, the right move, and make true romantic progress with the heroine, and really move to develop the romantic development, right? Kind of redundant there, but you get the point. Now, there's also the second phase, right, of the story, or the second arc, so to speak, when a second heroine comes into play. Now, after a couple of events, the second heroine falls in love with the MC, and the same process would continue, where how he would act towards the second heroine, right? Now, you could even add a bit of a jealousy love triangle type of mix into the story, but even so, you would still get the same result, even if a third heroine were to be added, where this MC would behave, I don't know, stay stagnant in the behavior, or stay static rather in his behavior towards them, or make a change. Now, I feel like this is where the MC, or a harem MC, or a harem story in general, would have a hard time, and that is between balancing the screen time of the MC and the girls, and trying to also have the MC develop have romantic development and true progress with the girls. And this would result in having the heroines have lesser impressions than with the first line of heroines who came in before them, right? And what pisses me off more, or what the worst case scenario, is that if the main protagonist, the MC, the main character, is some lazy ass who doesn't even show as much affection, or won't even quote unquote bat an eye to the love interests that's already presented into the story. In other words, there's no progress in the romantic development department. And this really leads the MC to be seen in a bad light, and which creates the notion of, why did these girls madly fall in love with the MC if he only saved them this one time? And then soon after the rest of the series, these girls would do anything and everything in order to gain his attention and to gain his love for whatever reason. And yeah, I think that's the reason why all the people would really view harem in a sort of bad light. I don't know. This is just my opinion, as I've said. And generally, it's the question of, how will the MC keep the affection points of the heroines healthy? How will the MC be able to have good relations? How will he continue to develop good relations with these heroines? And in the case of animes, due to the compact and short nature of its duration, for instance, with only 12 episodes, right, and a lot of different content to cover, it's difficult to have each of the members of the harem, or each of the heroines, spend time with the MC. Again, it also depends on how the story's plot is constructed. And so, with the difficulty in spending time with the MC, it also leaves an impression to us as the audience to make us want to say, I want to root for her. So, like, of course, unless if the first impression was already a big hit, the first impression of the heroine is a big hit, then things go differently. And also, if you've read the manga beforehand, then you can root in love for the heroine, as much as you want, right? For instance, in the case of To Love Ru or the quintessential quintuplets, because of the long episodes that it has and the way I guess the story is constructed, especially on part of the quintessential quintuplets, which I really, really, really love. That really made me develop, feelings, strong attachment to the heroines. It makes me want to root for each and every one of them. In the case of 100 Kanojo, the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you, it follows a similar effect to that. This is because of the factor of their relationship that they are dating, Now, let's take a look at Kanojo's anime adaptation, right? With only one course in a one course season and type of anime, I would say that in my opinion, I would still have a sort of good impression. It's not the best, but a really good, solid impression with each of the heroines, and this is because of their close proximity towards the MC into the story, right? The story finds a way to get all these characters really close to one another. In other words, more screen time for them. And being the case, Naoya, the protagonist, he is dating two of the heroines, which is why when a third or fourth one would come into the anime or come into the story, then I don't know, it just kind of rides along with it. But again, I'm sorry, I didn't read the manga of this, right? So I assume I'm just basing it off from what I've seen on the anime. And I feel like if the Hakana series would get an anime adaptation, God willing, there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate on that part. But either way, if it were to get an adaptation and it's only in the course of one season of 12, 13 episodes, I don't know. All the heroines, I would argue, are bound to get a good amount of screen time, and I'm really hoping that they also get to leave a good impression to the audience as well, And this is because, as I said, because of their dating relationship, because the story really includes all of the heroines and all the chapters of the scenes as much as it can, The impression in turn would then increase as well, And even in the span of this entire manga, the author would really find a way to really include all of the girlfriends into the story as much as it can, whether it be in the form of a simple cameo, the mentioning of their names, just just anything to really show that this girlfriend exists, right? It's really still placed into these chapters, and even the solo or the dual chapters are precious enough as well, as that it really adds on layers to the core characters of that chapter. We really get to know more about them, even though if other girlfriends are not present. Either way, this manga really balances well with showcasing how great the protagonist is, how great the protagonist is together with the girlfriends, how great the girlfriends are alone as is, and how great the girlfriends are together with other girlfriends. It's absolutely beautiful. With that being said, I want to go back to the first question, right? Why does chapter 73 really capture how great of a harem/rom-com protagonist Rentarou really is, as well as being the perfect boyfriend? Well, it's simply because of how he shows to us as the readers the never-ending and extravagant lengths that he would go through in order to make his girlfriends happy. And he does that on an everyday basis, so it's something that's totally normal for him, and eventually to the girlfriends by this point. And with that being said, take care, family.